Hi and welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Insider Weekend Picks. Again this week we'll be running through our optimal lineups for the AFL and the NRL contests at Draft Stars and Moneyball and sharing some of our thoughts on the weekend ahead. Let's start this week with the AFL, where the weekend contests are again headlined by the Draft Stars $50,000 tournament. A number of the players in our optimal lineup here are available for that contest, and you'll note there's quite a wide spread of teams with no massive favourites on the board this weekend. Adelaide and Sydney are the biggest favourites on the board, but that Sydney game comes with a huge red flag. They're expecting up to 100mm of rain on the Gold Coast, so be very careful with who you're picking from that game. Hawthorn, of course, are also a decent sized favourite this weekend. There is a strong Carlton influence in the spine of this team, with Carlton, of course, up against the fairly hapless Brisbane side. And Cruiser, Cripps and Kernell all have a good chance to exceed their salaries. We've gone with Cyril Rioli here, who's been a bit risky this season, but the matchup this week definitely favours him. And our model is also backing Taylor Walker to back up his performance last time out, with another against St Kilda. The salary is definitely more spread out this week, going for an even lineup rather than a stars and scrubs approach. And Dunkley and Atkins here are mid-tier options with decent upside. In defence, Collins is our cheapest player, while we're hoping that Scott Thompson will see enough of the ball going up against the Saints to also score well. Over at Moneyball then, Walker features again, and he and Ben Reid are high upside options at forward. Scott Lycett is getting close to a must-play at ruck in that West Coast lineup. The time he spends forward is just providing so many scoring opportunities. In the mids, we're again looking at scoring options with Darryl Thomas here, and we're partnering him with Gibbs, as we're definitely backing Carlton to get the job done against the Lions. Dunkley provides a cheap option in this Moneyball lineup, works well for the salary cap. Tom Mitchell is one who's very much liked by the model this weekend, but he's probably only going to feature in a smaller number of my lineups. The way he's been used recently, but also the weather in that Sydney game, as I mentioned before, are big mitigating factors against his computerised projection. And in the defence in this lineup, we've spent a good deal on Josh Gibson to provide some solid numbers, and Sam Collins looks like he's a good option at bargain prices against Essendon. Switching then to the NRL, and of course there's a few questions about how some of those Origin players are going to back up this weekend. Let's start with our Moneyball lineup here, which features a few of those question marks. Jonathan Thurston is by far our highest ranked player this week, going up against Newcastle, but there must be some concern about how many minutes he'll get if the Cowboys end up running over the Knights. And of course the Cowboys are 20-point favourites in that match. There's no other massive favourites this week. Sydney, South Sydney, Brisbane, Canberra all favoured in that 1 to 2 try range. And outside back, we're going to go with Latrell Mitchell and Dale Copley from that Sydney side, along with Vunivalu, who again we like this weekend as a cheaper option. We're expecting a reasonably low scoring week, so we've gone really forwards heavy in this lineup. We're spending big on Cooper, Burgess and Cordner. Again, some of those with Origin question marks. We're going with that kind of solid spine, gives you the freedom to try a few different combinations in the backs. Here we've gone with Granville at hooker against Newcastle. I think he's going to be a good option regardless of Thurston's minutes. Over at Draft Stars, the core of the team is again pretty similar. Burgess and Cooper, the big spenders. Here we've gone with Sam Mataora, who we think remains good value at Draft Stars. And of course with the Cowboys coming at him, 20-point underdogs in that game, forwards expected to do pretty well. Here though we've gone with Paulie as a bargain option, just as we did at Moneyball. And Mitchell again is in the team for Sydney, although here we've gone with some very cheap options in the backs. Corey Niss and Dane Nielsen, they don't need to score much to earn back their salary, and if they get a try, of course they're going to put you ahead of the game. We've gone with O'Neill, Granville and Thurston in this lineup to take advantage of playing Newcastle, though of course we'll be watching closely to make sure that there aren't late outs in that game. And those are our optimal teams for this weekend. Whatever site you're playing at and whatever tournaments you're entering this weekend, we wish you the best of luck. We hope to see you on the leaderboards and have a great weekend.